Hello, my name is Rachel and I'm here today to do a book haul. To be honest, I wouldn't normally do a book haul because I feel like I've only just done one and I've only got a few books here, but I feel like talking about books. You know, it's Sunday afternoon, we're having a beer and I want to talk about some books. And I don't want to get dressed or go anywhere or meet anyone or any of that stuff, so we're going to chat about books instead. Bit of a range, to be honest, a bit random, but I'm really excited for all of them, so I thought we'd have a quick chat about it. What should we talk about first? The first book I got was The Hand of Ethelberta by Thomas Hardy. Now, I found this in a charity shop in the town that I live in and it was really cheap. It was like £1, 99p, and I've never heard of this book, so I love Thomas Hardy. I think at this point I've read 3 Hardys, I want to say. So I read Far From the Madding Crowd, Tess the Devilles and Two on a Tower. Love all of them, like so much. Two on a Tower was like one of the best books. Far From the Madding Crowd, amazing. Tess the Devilles, I'd probably like, maybe I gave it a 4. I've got my issues with it, but I think it's issues with like, I dislike the characters, but I don't dislike them because they're badly written. So it's nothing really against Tess the Devilles, more unlikable people. But I'd never heard of this one. I was reading the beginning bit, the little like intro, and from the sounds of it, it is a bit of a step away from his usual types of books, and it's more like a comedy and chill, not like tragic. Excited for this. So this says, when she publishes a collection of remarkable poems, Ethelberta Pethewin. Why does he love names like that? Like Ethelberta, what's the other one called? And Far From the Madding Crowd. Ethelber? No, not Elphaba, that's wicked. I can't remember, but it's something like that. Always the same names. Becomes an overnight sensation. Sought after everywhere, she is invited to some of London's most select households, charming and captivating all who make her acquaintance. What her hosts and admirers do not know, however, is her secret past and the humble origins it betrays. Trapped by convention, she cannot acknowledge her true identity and is forced towards marriage with a wealthy older man rather than with the penniless young composer she really loves. There's fly in here. That's annoying. Right, so anyway, this sounds really good, so I am super excited for this. For some reason, I hate mass market paperbacks, I absolutely hate them. But when it's classics, like these types of classics, like the little penguin ones, I love them when they're mass market paperbacks. I think they look really cute and old school. But for some reason, when they're when they're like normal books, like fantasy books and stuff, I hate them. So we got that one. I'm really excited for this because I hadn't heard of it, and I've not got any other Thomas Hardys at the flat. They're all back at home. So I'm glad that I've got one on my shelves because I love that guy. Next, we'll go for Malibu Rising. This is by Taylor Jenkins Reid. It came out like last year, and I remember when it came out because I kept seeing it and I really wanted to buy it because it was like in supermarkets and in the work. Like it was in everywhere, not just like Waterstones. And it was really popular. And I was like, no, it's even for a wedding, you're not getting it, blah, 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 blah. And now it's in paperback. So I decided to pick up a copy because I've wanted to read this for ages. It sounds amazing. It gives me a little bit of, if anyone's read After the Silence by Louise O'Neill, because that's very much like a party happens and a lot of things happen at that party and all the stories around like what the fuck happened. And this sounds really similar. So this says August 1983 is the day of Nina Reeves' annual end of summer party. Everyone who's anyone wants to be around the Reavers. Surfer and supermodel Nina, brothers Jay and Hood and their baby sister Kit. Together the siblings are a source of fascination in Malibu and the world over, especially as the children of the legendary singer Mick Reaver. By midnight the party will be completely out of control. By morning the Reaver mansion will have gone up in flames, but before that the alcohol will flow, the music will play and secrets will come bubbling to the surface. I just think that sounds amazing. The only other book I've read is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I read that a few years ago and I really loved it. I think I ended up giving it 4 stars. So I've been really excited to pick up some more Taylor Jenkins Reid, but I just haven't. I tried reading Daisy Jones and the Six, but I've talked about it before. I was listening to it on audiobook and I don't think that was the best way to be reading it, and I ended up DNFing it. Yeah, hoping to get back to some Taylor Jenkins Reid and see how this is. This sounds amazing and it sounds like a really good summer read. So I'm excited for that. Me and my partner are going to be going camping over the summer because we're trying to keep it cheap because we get married in October. Summer holiday camping reading vibes. This sounds great. So I have this, and there's another book that I've just brought back from my mum and dad's, Hot Milk by Deborah Levy. That's giving me strong summer vibes. And then I've also picked up some romance books that I think could be good to take on holiday as well. So we'll talk about those next. So we've got first The Kiss Quotient by Hoang. I actually think this sounds good, whereas there's another book that is out at the minute that is about some scientists and it sounds shit, and I keep seeing it in every shop, but I just think it sounds terrible every time I look at the back. And I think it might be popular, like it might have got to where it is because I think it styled itself off this book, and this book does actually sound good. I picked up this one instead. So this says, it's high time for Stella Lane to settle down and find a husband, or so her mother tells her. This is no easy task for a wealthy, successful woman like Stella, who also happens to have Asperger's. Analysing data is easy, handling the awkwardness of one-on-one dates is hard. To overcome her lack of dating experience, Stella decides to hire a male escort to teach her how to be a good girlfriend. Faced with mounting bills, Michael decides to use his good looks and charm to make extra cash on the side. He has a very firm no-repeat customer policy, but he's tempted to bend that rule when Stella approaches him with an unconventional proposal. The more time they spend together, the harder Michael falls for this disarming woman with a beautiful mind, and Stella discovers that love defies logic. It also gives me the wedding date vibes, the one with Amy Adams in and the girl at Will and Grace. Very much that sort of story. So I'm excited for this. I think it'd be a really good like summer contemporary like love type of book to read. Let's do this one first. So then we have The Roommate by Rosie Danan. These three books that I'm talking about, that the last one, this one and the next one, were all £3 for £5 at the works, so I got very good pricing on them. So this one is about Clara Wheaton, and she's an overachiever. Her childhood crush invites her to move cross country. She finds herself sharing a house with a charming stranger. Josh might be a bit too perceptive, not to mention handsome, for comfort, but there's a good chance he and Clara could have survived sharing a summer sublet if she hadn't looked him up on the internet. And once she learns about how he's made a name for himself, she realises living with him might destroy her reputation. I think that sounds really interesting. I love books that involve like the internet and stuff, because I feel like it's something that some books really move away from because they don't want to like be so tied to the time that they're written. But actually it can make for a really interesting read. I'm reading a book at the minute by Jay. If you know, you know, with like the lesbian books, Jay is very, very prolific, and it's called Wrong Number, Right Woman, and it's literally like all happening in text messages, and it's so refreshing because that, I feel like that is how people start relationships. Like this is so similar to how me and my partner got together, like you're just texting constantly. And I feel like that's really, really common these days, but it's not common in books because they don't want to tie their story so much to phones in case like phones go out the window and then everyone thinks of their book as like, oh, people don't use phones anymore, so why would I read that? It was actually really good. So yeah, it's not a wrap up, so I'm not talking about that. But yeah, I'm glad that that's got the internet in. Then we've got a book that I am super excited for, gorgeous cover, and it is All That We Have Lost by Susanna Fortin. Whew, look at this, beautiful. This is also giving me summer vibes because obviously this looks like a summer holiday in France. It might be in France, I can't remember. So 2019, when Imogen Wren's husband dies, she must realise their dream of moving to France, that's right, on her own. She finds a beautiful abandoned chateau and starts to rebuild her life among its ruins. But she soon notices about the locals won't come near. That the locals won't come near. I was thinking then, why does that not make sense? A dark web of secrets surrounds the house and it all seems to centre on the war. 1944. Since the moment German troops set foot in her village, the sole aim of Simone Varen's life has been to avoid them until one soldier begins leaving medicine bottles for her sick brother, and she gets to know the man behind the uniform. Then the resistance comes calling and she must choose between love and duty, with devastating consequences that will echo through the decades. As Imogen restores the chateau, she's determined to uncover the truth and put to rest the ghosts of the past. So I think this is like historical fiction in half, contemporary fiction half, and it's gonna like bounce between the two, I'm guessing. It looks like that. I'm just really excited. I just think number one, it's flipping gorgeous. Number two, I love France. Number three, I love books around the Second World War. I think the Second World War is the more interesting one to me, and it's the one that I studied a lot more when I was in like A-levels and stuff. So I like that it's around the Second World War. A lot of books are around the First World War, but not the Second, and yeah, I'm really interested for that. I think it's going to be exciting. And the last two books I have are a bit of a departure for me. I feel like they aren't the books that you'd expect. And they are Over the Line and Arctic Star by Tom Palmer. So Tom Palmer is a children's author. I recently organised him to come into the school I work for and do a talk with some kids, do a talk with some like reluctant readers, that sort of thing. And he was really, really good, and I was like, oh, I've not actually read any of his books, it'd be nice to read some. So he has a lot of like football books for kids, which don't really interest me. But these ones, and like all the books he has like this, he's got 5 now, books that are like historical fiction-y, around the war type of books, and these are the 2 that really stood out to me. So Arctic Star is set during winter 1943. Frank, Joseph and Stephen are Royal Navy recruits on their first mission at sea during the Second World War. Their ship is part of an Arctic convoy sailing to Russia to deliver supplies to the Soviets. The boys will travel far north in treacherous waters, sailing through a narrow channel between the Arctic ice pack and German bases on the Norwegian coast. Faced with enemy attacks from both air and sea, as well as life-threatening cold and storms, will all 3 boys make it home again? This sounds really, really good. Absolutely love the cover. I feel like when he was talking, this seemed to be his least popular book, I think he was saying. And I thought it looked the most interesting, to be honest. But I really like Arctic and stuff, and penguins and stuff like that, so I feel like that's why it appeals to me. And then the other one is Over the Line, and this is based around the football match that happened at Christmas one year during the First World War. So it says, it's the proudest moment of Jack's life, his debut as a professional footballer. Now he has a chance to achieve his dreams of playing for his country. But it's 1914 and the world is at war. Talk of sportsman cowardice leads to the formation of a footballers' battalion, and Jack has little choice but to join up. The promise of a cup in Flanders offers a glimmer of hope. But Jack and his teammates will have to survive a waking nightmare if they are ever to play again. Based on a true story of sporting heroes' experience in the trenches. And one of the things he was saying during the talk is that some of these books, and I think this one, are based on real people, and he goes and like talks to them and like interviews them, talks to them about their experiences and stuff, and then puts it into his books. So I feel like that's really exciting. So I'm excited to pick those up. I feel like they're not the usual books for me, but they actually sound really good. So yeah, that's all the books. It was just like a mini haul, to be honest. I say mini haul, there's still quite a few books here. These are all the books I got. A lot of summary reads for now the sun's coming up, having some fun reading time. And yeah, I'm excited for all of these. If you've read any of them and want to talk to me about them in the comments down below, please do. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!